Good morning, everybody. Silas back again today on this cold, blowing snow day. It's a little bit chilly, but it's not too bad out here. Normally on a day like this, I'd find something else to do inside, but I've got work to get done, so I'm gonna get busy. This is kind of a first for me. I actually recorded a video yesterday, but going back over the footage and everything last night, I was looking at it and I said, the overall vibe of this video is a little bit on the negative side because a bunch of stuff happened yesterday, and while stuff happens sometimes, I was like, I don't need to make my problems everybody else's problem. I need to keep my videos positive because that's my ultimate goal, is to try to encourage other people to be positive, and I want to be motivational. I don't want to be a discouragement, and I don't want to introduce a negative vibe. There's enough of that out there already. If you want a negative vibe, you can go read the news. So I thought, I'm just going to delete all of this and I'm going to start over and I'm going to record a new one. Now, some of the footage that I recorded is irreplaceable, so I kept that footage. Like, I took a couple cars to the claw. I can't recreate that situation, so those cars are gone. So I'm going to save that footage and I'll put it in here, so when all of a sudden you see a part of this video that doesn't have snow on the ground, you know what's going on. I've got my truck back there warming up. I've got the trailer pretty well loaded up. It's a small load, but it's good enough. I'm going to haul that in here in a minute. But first, I want to show you a couple things that came in yesterday. First up is this 1961 Dodge. That's 1 year only for this grill. It's got that real cool grill in it. It's pretty rough. It's got a 68 hood on it. That's not the original hood. But it's an old Dodge 500. It's got a Superior body on it. This was sitting outside of town, and the guy used it for storage. And when we bought it, well, actually we bought this bus several times, and then the guy would back out on the deal. But finally he agreed to sell it to us. We paid for it, and we got it hauled out here. There was a bunch more stuff in here. Somebody cleaned it out. I'm pretty sure that guy did, but oh well, it is what it is. There's some good stuff in here. Some old Bonneville seats. Some old doors, bunch of engines. I'm not sure what these two doors are. If you know what these are, let me know in the comments. I'm not sure what they came off of. That there's an old truck door back there. But I think these Bonneville seats, there's the rear of the rear seat and the bottom of the rear seat. So I think those will sell. There's a bunch of engines in here. I think a couple of these are just 305s. There's a little Ford engine here. I don't know if that's like a Pinto engine or a Maverick or Comet or something like that. And then I'm not sure what this one is. It's got a unique torque converter on it. I'm not entirely sure what it is. There's just a bunch of other odds and ends stuff in here. There's a bunch of scrap. I'll go through these engines and roll them out and look at them, see what they are, see if they're worth anything. And then there's an old hydraulic clutch bell housing back there off of something. I'm not sure what that is, but that's probably a fairly valuable piece, I'm guessing. For whatever reason, hydraulic clutch bell housings seem to be fairly valuable pieces usually. So once I identify what it is, it's all covered in grease, so I haven't looked for a part number yet. I don't feel like getting greasy today. But this bus is in pretty good condition. The roof doesn't leak on it. It's got the emergency exit back there that opens from the inside only. It's got shelves in it already. The front door is messed up. It doesn't close, but just for storage, it'll work for me. I'll come in here and clean some of this stuff out that's just junk, and then I'll organize a little bit, and then I can store car parts in here. Under the hood, it's got a 440 out of a newer mid-70s Chrysler. A guy put it in there years ago, I guess. And here's the instrument cluster. It's got a really cool instrument cluster in it. It's a pretty neat bus, really. And it's a pretty rare bus, too. They didn't make too many Dodge buses. I have a lot of Fords and Chevys and Internationals, but Dodge was kind of unusual. And something cool I found out last night, which I'm actually glad that I'm re-recording this part, because when I recorded it the first time, I didn't know this part. But actually, the guy that built this bus and put the engine in it was Henry Maupin. And he built this bus, and he would use it to haul car parts down to the Pate swap meet and to other swap meets. Him and another guy. But anyway, they would pack this bus full of parts, they would take it down there, and then they would sleep in the bus. But what's cool about that is that Henry Maupin crushed out, and I think he sold out, and then the company that bought him crushed out. And around 1990, 1991, right around the time I was born, right after I was born a little bit. And when he did that, he sold this bus to another guy that had a salvage yard, and he was going to do the same thing with it. Well, he just took it and parked it behind his house and never did anything with it. That guy passed away a number of years ago. His son got the place and was cleaning it up. You may remember one of my previous vlogs. I actually went there and looked around at some of the cars that are there. And this bus was there in that video, and I thought we had a deal made on everything then. We didn't, but I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole other story. We're not going to get into all that. But anyway, it sat there for the last 30 years, plus years. And so now we finally got the deal done. We got it taken out here. Well, this property out here was Henry Maupin's salvage yard. The property that I bought belonged to Henry Maupin. So it's just kind of really interesting how this bus, to me at least, because I own the place, that how this bus started out here being full of vintage car parts. It went over there, and now it's back out here again, getting stacked full of vintage car parts. Now, I'm not going to drive this around to swap meets. It's really too far gone for that. It's got a lot of body damage on the outside, and it could be fixed, but I don't have time to go to swap meets anyway, so it would be kind of pointless for me to put that much effort and money into fixing it. But I am going to use it for storage, and like I say, the roof isn't rusted out. It doesn't leak anywhere, so it'd be perfect for putting old car parts in. So I don't know. Just interesting history how Henry Maupin, this was out here at his place for years, and now it's going to be out here for years more, most likely. The only bad thing about recording today instead of yesterday is it is just bitter cold out here. It's not actually that cold, but that wind, the wind chill is just way down there. The wind chill is dropping at about 20 degrees, so all my exposed skin right now is not liking this. The one good thing is that it's not snowing that much. I'm not getting nearly as much snow as we did last time, so just a little bit of snow so it won't get that muddy when it melts. It's supposed to warm right back up again tomorrow and Saturday, so all this will be gone by then. Another cool old truck that came in yesterday is this old Dodge here. I believe this is a 65. It's got the old Poly engine in it, so I'm pretty sure it's got the Poly 318, so I'm pretty sure this is a 65, because I know it's a 65 and a half to 67 because of the headlight ring that's laying underneath the seat. They only use those for 2.5 years in that range there. It's got a few parts on it. It's got a good dash in it. Got a usable steering or restorable steering wheel, but that's just the black steering wheel. Usually people want the white ones. It's got a good cab back on it. I mean, it's not really good to use on a truck because they're usually never bad, but it would make a really cool wall hanger, sign, headboard, something like that. So I'll cut that off of there at some point. I'm not sure what rear end's in it. I don't know if it's a good one or a junk one. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. I just put it back here out of the way. But yeah, this dash is fairly decent. It's not rusted out anywhere. It does have a couple little holes down there at the bottom in the center that somebody's made in it to put something in it, toggle switches or something, but that's not a real big deal to fill in. But yeah, it's just got odds and end trinket pieces. I mean, most people would just crush this truck, but because I do collect these, I'll go ahead and hang on to it, and eventually someday if I get time, I'll just pull off those few pieces and then cut the cab back off and then go ahead and crush it. Whew, getting a little bit chilly. I'm gonna have to get in the truck and warm up for a minute. But for those of you that are wondering what happened yesterday that kind of got me in a little bit of a negative mood, I got out here, and you may have saw my little short on YouTube. I had a flat tire on my trailer, and not a big deal. That tire is junk anyway. I was like, I need to replace both my back tires on that trailer. The one's getting pretty bald, and the other one's got multiple nail holes in it that I've had to put plugs in. So I lift it up in the air, and I get up my impacts. I had double checked to make sure I had the right size socket, and I had checked on the spare tire though, and it was 21 millimeter. Well, the spare tire uses 21 millimeter. The trailer uses 22 millimeter. Why they put two different size lug nuts on that trailer, I don't know. So anyway, luckily, when they brought the bus out, he had a set of sockets in his truck, in his tow truck. So I was able to borrow a 22 from him, put the spare tire on the trailer. I thought everything was going to be fine. I was going to haul a bunch of cars, and then today when it got cold, I was going to take those tires down there, the wheels down there, and get new tires put on them. Okay, that's much better. I got in here out of that wind. That stuff was something else. But anyway, I got the spare tire on there. Thought I'd worry about getting the new tires put on today when it was cold, so I wouldn't have to haul cars. And I load up a load of cars on the trailer. I haul it into the claw, which I'll show you that here in just a second. But in the process of doing that, when I pulled in there, I got a nail in my spare tire, and I blew a hole in my truck tire on the rear. So I didn't know it at the time when I was there, but on the way back out here, I noticed my truck was kind of wobbling a little bit, and it started acting weird, and I'm like, oh no, something's wrong with the tire. So I went ahead and got out here real quick, and shortly after I parked it, it went completely flat. So I was like, are you kidding me? I said, this is just not great, and I was not in a good mood at that point in time. So I went ahead, pulled my truck tire off, and at that point in time, I didn't have my 22 millimeter anymore, so I had to shut down everything I was doing, run to the other place where the other loader was, because that's where my socket was, get the socket out of the loader, come back out here, get my other trailer tire off, take them down, get two new tires put on, get my truck tire fixed. Luckily, it was just a hole at the time. I thought I had knocked a hole in the sidewall, but it was just a rub mark on the sidewall, and the actual hole was in the tread, and it was just a small hole, so they were able to boot it. So that was only, I think, $19, but I did have to spend $400 on 2 new tires. But I went ahead and upgraded to 14 ply tires instead of the original 10 plies that were on the thing, so hopefully they'll last a little bit longer. But anyway, I got all that taken care of, and it just a bunch of other fiasco stuff happened yesterday. It seemed like it was just one thing after another. So last night when I was going back through, I was like, man, this is just half this video is nothing but negative stuff. So I was like, I'm not going to show it. I'll just start from scratch, and I'll show them that bus and that truck. And there's one other thing I got that I'll show you here in just a second that's pretty cool. I did buy a couple old bicycles. They're nothing special though, and they're covered in snow, so I probably won't bother showing those to you guys today. And so overall, I think you guys will get to see all the cool stuff that came in, and you get a more positive vibe. So I'm definitely going to go with this video instead of the old one. Sneak preview, something really exciting came in the mail. Probably won't have time to mess with it today, but maybe this weekend I'm going to get that out and we're going to put it in the bus. Colorado cylinder stove. I got the Timberline. I'm not going to give a review on it yet because I don't know nothing about it, and they didn't sponsor me, nothing like that. I paid full price for that, paid for shipping and everything. But if it's a good stove, I'll let you guys know. I'm always happy to use made in USA products when able. It's not always possible anymore. And even this stove here, I believe their flue, the little flap inside the flue, and the spigot on the water tank on the side are both made in China. They can't find US suppliers for those pieces. But everything else is made in the USA on it. But we'll worry about that another day. I want to show you guys one other thing that was really cool that is probably my favorite thing I bought yesterday. I bought a 1961 to 63 Hutchinson bicycle license plate. I have been looking for one of these for a very, very long time. Now, a lot of cities would make a license plate for every year. Every year would get its own license plate. But Hutchinson is a fairly small town, so starting in, I think, the late 50s, they started going to having multiple year ranges on their license plates. Up until, I think, the late 60s, like 68 or 69, somewhere around there, they started using stickers instead. But anyway, I have a 1963 J.C. Higgins Flightliner Deluxe. It's all chrome frame, it's got the fancy tank and the fancy rack, got the Springer fork on it. It's a very, very nice bicycle. I bought it from the original owner. He actually only lived a few blocks away from where I live, and so that bicycle has spent its entire life within a few block radius right here in Hutchinson, and I've always wanted a license plate that was period correct for Hutch to put on it. And I have hunted for years, and I finally, a guy said he found it laying in the dirt. He found a couple old bicycles out on the backside of his property, and this is laying on the ground beside him. So now it's mine. It's a little bit on the rough side, which is kind of a bummer because that bicycle I have is so nice, but at the same time it's way better than nothing. Maybe someday I'll find a better one, but this will work for now. But that's definitely my favorite thing I bought yesterday, just because I want that for my own personal collection. I actually have a purpose and a use for that. But I think my truck's warmed up now, so I'm going to go ahead and haul this car in. It's just one car. It won't take but a second to get it off the trailer. Before I do that though, I'll go ahead and play that part yesterday where I unloaded those 2 cars. That was my trailer Tyler Doom video. I still don't have a clue what I ran over, and when I take this load in, I'm not going to even pull close to the pile. I'm going to stay right in the middle of their road. And if they don't like it, tough luck. I'm tired of getting flat tires when I go in there. Here's my new tires. I just put both of them on the back. Still has the originals on the front. You can see the difference. These are a much heavier duty tire. It's just crazy to me. I bought a $10,000 trailer and they put these little rinky-dink tires on it, but you know, they got to cut costs somewhere, so I guess that's where they cut them, was in the tires. But hopefully these here will last quite a bit longer. Now on a trailer, usually your rear tires wear out way faster than your front tires no matter what you do. So those there are still about 50% tread, so I'm guessing all 4 of them will probably wear out about the same time now. Ooh, it's way windier here than it was out there, that's for sure. It is just bitter, bitter, bitter cold wind here. Way worse than my place out there. I don't know if it's the trees out there or what, but something, there's a difference somewhere. But they still haven't picked up my wheel box. What my plan for today is here is that car is ready to go, this car is ready to go, that Dakota is ready to go, this, what is this, Caliber? This Caliber is ready to go. I don't believe that one's ready to go. I've got 2 more over there that are ready to go, and then I've got some more inside the fence that are ready to go. Oh, and this Ranger over here is ready to go. So I've got quite a few cars that are ready. I don't feel like starting the crusher or messing with none of that, so I'm just going to throw them on the trailer and haul them down there. I thought about double stacking them, but if I double stack them, then I got to throw chains and all that, and it's just, I don't feel like dealing with that today. It's too cold for all that. If I just throw them on here one at a time, I can just zip back and forth 90 miles an hour. I know a lot of you have recommended I get a big rig with a big flatbed, and then I can haul way more cars, which would be okay, other than, I mean, it's only 5 blocks, so I think it would take me longer to load them and strap them down and unstrap them than driving for sure. But also, if you get a big rig to haul these things, then you have a whole host of regulations and CDLs you got to deal with, and just way more paperwork, and I already don't have time for the paperwork I already do. And it's a nightmare to deal with any more regulations than we already do, and it wouldn't benefit us that much to make it worth our time. I would like to get about a 40-foot gooseneck and a 1-ton truck, but the problem is right now both of those things are very, very, very expensive. Unless you want to buy something really old, antique, that's falling apart that you have to work on nonstop, kind of like that truck there. Even those are crazy expensive. That truck there I paid, I think, I want to say $2,500 or $3,000 for. I can't even remember now, but I could probably sell it for $10,000 no problem, just because the truck market is crazy right now. Even antique junk is selling for crazy prices. So like this trailer here, when I first looked at this trailer back in 2018 or one just like this, they were $6,000. When I bought this at the very beginning of 2021, I paid over $10,000. So it almost doubled in 3 years, and actually most of that price increase was over the course of 2020. And so now that exact trailer is about $11,500. They've gone up even more since then. And so a new 40-foot is just crazy expensive too. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. This works perfectly fine for me. It's not that big of a deal to drive 5 blocks. Before I haul any more cars though, it's lunchtime. This is one of my favorite places to go. I don't go here that often just because it's not healthy, but it's called RB Drive-In. Kind of an old school drive-in. They've got hamburgers and onion rings and pork tenders and you name it, that type of food. Really good stuff. Come here probably once every other week or so. I believe they're the oldest drive-through, or not drive-through, the oldest drive-in in Kansas. I think they were established in 1948, something like that. I always get the RB special. That's my favorite thing there. It's basically just a deluxe hamburger. It's a little bit bigger than normal, and it has lettuce and tomato and all the fixings on it. It's pretty good. That's my favorite. They also have a gigantic hamburger called a Belt Buster, and it's huge. I think it's meant to share, but I do know people that can eat the whole thing. But they've got tray limeades, pretty much any sort of drive-in food you can think of. But I mean, it's like I say, this is just good old-fashioned greasy hamburgers. If you're in the mood for a fancy hamburger, you can go somewhere else. But if you just want an old-fashioned hamburger, this is the place to go if you're ever in Hutchinson. But it's time to eat, so I'll see you guys here in just a little bit. poor car here, they just bought it, and then they totaled it out in that last snowstorm we had. Liability only. This is what happens. Crunch. Whoever was driving this truck had a bad day. She sure is thirsty. This truck uses a lot of fuel, but it does better than most of my vehicles. I think I get about 13 miles a gallon with this thing, which isn't bad considering I'm always pulling a load and I'm never going down the highway. That's all in-town driving, lots of idling. I'm actually out of cars that are ready to go now. I thought I had more that were ready, but like this Dakota, I forgot I want to keep the wheels off of it, and I didn't bring my impact. It's in the other truck, so I can't take it, and it still has a copper radiator in it as well. The big tanker truck is actually ready, but I want to be able to film them unloading that because I think that'll be a really cool video. However, I think they're probably going to want me to drive out from underneath it when they pick it up with the claw. I'm guessing I ripped these holes in the side of it like that so they could get their claw right there in the middle. And I'm thinking they can pick it up and swing it over, but they may have me drive out from underneath it. And if they do that, I obviously can't film. So I need to wait till I have my GoPro with me. That way I can have it rolling. That way, just in case I have to drive out. This Impala here, I haven't done anything to it yet, I guess. I pulled the battery out of it and that was it. And then I've got that Bronco way down there. I believe I have to drain the gas out of it still. Other than that, it's ready to go. And then this car here is still complete. They kept the wheels off of it, but everything else is still on it. Still has a converter. I haven't pulled nothing off of it. And this car here is a good reminder that if you think you're having a bad day, it could always be worse. That on the windshield is manure. I'm assuming they hit a cow or a bull or something like that. But look inside this car. That's the driver's seat. That's all manure. Like somebody had a really bad day. It's even in the back seat. The back window's painted in it. I mean, it's just nasty in here. So whoever was driving this car, they got a mouthful of something that wasn't very good. I thought maybe I could take this truck. It was down there. I didn't see it earlier. The tanks are punctured on it already. There's no motor in it, no converters, nothing like that. I flip it around to load it on the trailer and it's got one aluminum wheel on it, so it can't go either. So I don't have anything left here ready to go, so I'm gonna go ahead and lock this place down and head back out to the other yard. But first, my wife tagged me in a post on Facebook. There's this place here that sells discount bulk stuff. They just take it and they just dump it in bins, and it's all returns and Amazon returns and store returns, stuff like that, and they just dump it in there, and everything in this bin is that price. And then they have bigger objects out as well that are, maybe the box was damaged or whatever the reason is. It's one of those liquidation type places, and they've got some metal shelving, some wire shelves. I have all my camera gear right now stacked in a big pile in the corner of one room, and I've started to accumulate quite a bit of camera stuff. And I was just telling her the other day that I really need some sort of shelving to put my stuff on so it's organized. That way I don't have to dig for half an hour to find what I'm looking for. So I'm going to run there, see if they still have those, probably buy those, and then I'm going to head out to the other yard. Nope, no luck. They're sold, I guess, about 30 minutes after they posted the picture on Facebook. They had a bunch of them, and somebody came in and just bought them all. So missed out on that deal. It's a pretty cool place, though. I've actually never been there. It's been open for a while now. But it's one of those places that on, I think, Saturday, everything in the bins is $8. They have gigantic long bins. They're probably 30 feet long and 6 feet wide, and they just dump them clear full of stuff. And everything is $8 on Saturday, and then it just drops throughout the week $1 a day. And I think by Thursday, go over these railroad tracks and tear up my truck. And then by Thursday, everything's $1. And then I think they're closed on Friday so they can restock. And then in the middle of the store, they have, like I was saying, damaged box items and store returns, that sort of stuff. And that stuff's usually 50% off. And on the other side, they've got kitchen supplies, and they've got food that's past the best by date but isn't expired, where it's still good food, it's still edible, it's just not quite as fresh as it would have been if it was at the store. And they've got that stuff for cheap, and they've got all sorts of stuff in there. It's a pretty neat place. I was gonna record it and show it to you guys, but they had the music playing pretty loud in there and I would have got copyright claimed. But anyway, I'm headed out to the yard now. I got a guy bringing a car in, and it's a car with manifold cats, so I'm gonna have to use the excavator to pull the engine. So I figured rather than take it over there and then me have to haul it out here, I would just have him meet me out here and unload it out here. And I figured I might have time to haul one more car or maybe a load of cars in now that it's starting to melt the snow off a little bit into the shredder yet today. There we go, got one last load loaded up. This is an ugly load here, but it's just a bunch of miscellaneous stuff that came in that I didn't really want out here because it's ugly. So I got it stacked on there, threw a car up on top. This in here I will have to chain down to take it in there because there's no way I could haul that in without chaining it as far as I have to go. But I've got about 30 minutes to get there before they close, so I better hustle. I got back to the yard and I had a few minutes to spare before I had to go home, so I thought I'd try to figure out why my winch wasn't working. And I thought maybe it was because they dropped that piece on this here a while back and crushed this, but I looked inside and that's a sealed unit inside there as well. And all this is really for is to protect all the connections, because all the connections probably could technically corrode over time because of that hole there now, but they're not going to be corroding anytime soon, so I'm not really worried about that. And so I was checking, and this in here was loose. I got it tightened down, but it still wasn't fixing it. I was messing around, and then I noticed that this piece here was mounted down under here, and it was bent straight up in the air like that, and it was loose. And what happens is when we put this trailer together, I wanted to be able to run off of my battery that runs a hydraulic tilt, because it charges off the truck. It's got a trickle charger on it, and so it continually charges, and I wanted to be able to run the winch off the same setup. So we had to run the wires down, kind of coil them up underneath to where they were long enough to where when the trailer's up in the air, it didn't stretch them. And in doing that, my positive cable wasn't quite long enough to reach up here where it should have been. It should have been on there like that, but it wasn't long enough. That's all the longer it would go, is right there. If I put it on here, it was too tight and I couldn't tilt my trailer all the way up in the air. So what I should have done was just put a new cable on it, but I didn't at the time. I thought that would work, and you know, it did work for a year. But it broke now just from wiggling up and down. It's so close to the edge right here that every time I tilt the trailer, it would just wiggle a tiny bit. And this is just copper coated aluminum wire, so it was just a matter of time before it broke anyway. So what I need to do for now, just so I can use it, I'm just going to get a pair of jumper cables, cut the coating off, and then I can just jump it across here. But what I need to do is actually take that wire off, take this apart, and I think it's this one right here. Take this apart and put a brand new cable in there and get one that's a little bit longer. That way I can run it all the way up here and put it where it's supposed to go. Then I won't have that issue anymore. But like I say, for now, I'll just run it off of jumper cables. Not a big deal. But I'm going to head home, take off all these clothes. Wearing all this weight all day long wears you out. It's hard to move in them. They're so thick. And it's exhausting sometimes. But if you don't do it, you freeze to death when you're out here in this weather all day long. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm going to be back out here in a couple days. I'm probably not going to film anything tomorrow. And I've got some people coming for some old cars, and if I have time, I'm going to work on putting the stove in that bus. I don't know exactly what's going to happen that day yet. We'll just kind of see how that goes then. If you enjoyed this one, please give me a thumbs up on it. Drop a comment, say what your favorite part of the video was. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, and remember to get out there and find an adventure. We'll see you next time.